So welcome from the center of Europe, from Cologne. Beautiful evening. And we have people from Spain and Germany and Ukraine. And tomorrow I'm flying to Ukraine. I hope the weather is also nice there. Is it sunny, Arjuna? Sunny? Not so sunny. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. Ah, we have Luigi. Ah, very good. Okay, so lots of friends tonight. Actually, everybody's a friend. Okay, so let's do our meditation. So if you sit comfortably and then close your eyes and look inside. Okay, so take another look. Don't try to change anything. Just bring your self-awareness to whatever is the strongest. Okay, so when you're ready, you can come back into the room, come back into the Zoom. So would somebody like to share if anything interesting happened? So Shakti, would you like to share? It's nice to see you on the Zoom. You're down in Freiburg, I think.
Nice to see you too. Yes, I'm in Freiburg.
Right, right. Okay.
My mind is having a earworm all the time, and I was my focus was on this earworm.
Can somebody translate earworm?
Like if a song is being stuck in
A worm, yes.
Like a song?
Yeah, if a song keeps repeating in your head because it's, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you've got a song. Is it a nice song?
Yes, that's the mantra before.
A mantra?
Yes.
Ah, okay, so that's quite nice. Yeah, the mantra is still repeating. Good, good. Oh, I think that's quite nice. Yeah. And can you feel some effect on your general energy when this mantra keeps going?
I want to focus on the moment, and when the mantra comes in my head, I think I'm not in the moment.
Right, right. Well, I don't think a mantra is quite the same as thinking, you know? So we have a mind, and this mind can think about something, and our mind is usually thinking about things from the past. But if a mantra is kind of rolling through your mind, I think that's not quite the same. I would say that's quite a positive thing, because these mantras touch very deeply to our energy system. And I didn't actually hear the mantra, so I don't know which mantra it was, but it will be anyway working inside you. So I would say it's quite positive to have a mantra that keeps running around and round. Good, good. Okay. Who else would like to? I think, Robin, you're probably somebody I don't know. It's the first time, maybe.
Yes, that's true.
And,
Yeah.
Are you sitting somewhere? Where are you sitting?
Yeah, so I'm sitting in Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. Oh, beautiful place. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Are you Dutch then?
yes,
You're
I
Dutch.
am. Where
Okay.
are you from?
Well, I'm English, but I'm living in a community near Cologne.
Right. Yeah.
And
I
actually,
know
we often drive to Holland. Actually, I was there about 10 days ago, because it's very lovely to come. It takes about 2 hours to come to the border, and suddenly everything changes. Very interesting. The culture of Holland is such that the architecture becomes different. When we get into the streets, the people are somehow different. So it's always rather nice to drive to Holland, I must say.
Nice. Yeah, I was invited by Nico to join here, and
Good.
I enjoyed the music at the start very much.
Okay, good, good. And what happened with the meditation for you?
Well, I was a bit distracted. My mind was running a bit.
Right.
But I also started to feel more centered as we sat down and as I kind of allowed myself to go back every time, I guess.
Okay. And do you normally meditate? Is meditation something that's in your life?
No, I meditate quite most mornings.
Oh, good. Great. Good. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Elise, would you like to share something? Nice to see you again.
Jetzt geht's los. Ich verstehe nichts oder wenig.
Es ist schön, dich zu sehen.
Ja, ich freue mich auch sehr.
I'm also very happy to see you.
Okay, good. And what happened in the meditation?
Oh, mein Herz hat geschlagen und ich bin ruhiger geworden.
My heart was beating and I became more calm.
Okay, good. Okay, let's see who else. We have Madhu. Hello, Madhu. All the way from the south of Ukraine. Okay, what happened to you?
Да, были странные вещи, которые раньше я не наблюдала.
You didn't observe before.
Но сначала была такая дрожь. Я сразу вспомнила, как Хануман вот это дергается.
I had this trembling, like a bit shaky state. I remember Hanuman, who is kind of sometimes can shake himself.
Right, right.
Ну, а потом такое чувство, как будто я погрузилась под воду. Немножко давление в уши, немножко такое вот дыхание более медленная.
And then I got a feeling when it's like I was going deeper under the water. So I even felt the pressure in my ears and the feeling like I'm under the water.
Okay, good.
Ну,
So
в
it's very,
общем,
should be very
спокойно.
quiet under the water, yeah?
Да, ну, в общем, спокойно, ну, не беспокойно, достаточно комфортно, но просто, ну, реально необычно для меня это было.
Yeah, an unusual thing, very, very, very calm state, very calm state.
Yeah, good. Okay. Nasaraj, would you like to say hello?
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing in Spain?
Как там в Испании у тебя дела? Как ты там?
I'm good. It's very, very nice weather all day long, very hot.
Okay. And what's
Yeah, I'm
happened in the
getting a
meditation?
little homesick.
Homesick.
Yeah.
Are you
a little bit.
homesick for Switzerland or for the Open Sky House?
For Switzerland.
For Switzerland. Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the meditation, it was again this light feeling up here.
Right.
And body moving, just a lot of energy moving in the body.
Okay. Good. Good. Okay. Anybody else like to share something? Okay. Well, I'd just like to say hello to Luigi because we haven't seen him for some time. Hello, Luigi. He's from Italy, north of Italy.
Hello, John. Hello, everyone.
Right. Good to see you again.
Yes, for me too. Thank you.
How is your beautiful family?
Well, they are very fine. Thank you. Now they are with grandfathers.
Oh, okay.
So today I a little bit finally alone at home, enjoying the silence.
Right.
Also
right.
the satsang. So
Good. Okay.
very happy. Very happy.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. So, we have Kiran with us now. That's nice. Okay. So tonight I want to read something from my book, Pointless Joy of Freedom. If you have a copy, it's page 20. You can have a look later. And this is an interesting dialogue that happened between a German man called Hans and Papaji. So this guy Hans met Papaji very early, about 15 years before most people met Papaji. As probably most of you know, in about 1990, he had to stop traveling because his feet were not really okay. He got the advice from his doctor to stop traveling. Then he stayed in Lucknow from 1990, and he left his body in 97. So for those 7 years, he stayed in Lucknow, and as you know, many, many people came from around the world to visit him, including myself. And but about 15 years before that, he was living in Europe. Some of you know the story how he met a young Belgian woman in Rishikesh. He met her on the side of the Ganga one morning, early morning. She had been a philosophy student in Brussels, in the university in Brussels, and she got tired of studying, reading books. So she left Brussels and traveled to India, came to Rishikesh, and one morning she met Papaji down by the Ganga, and he asked her, "What do you want?" And she answered, "I want freedom." And something happened between them, immediately some kind of strong thing happened inside her. And she went into a very quiet space, very touching for her. And the next morning, she came back to the same place by the Ganga, hoping and expecting perhaps to meet Papaji again. But anyway, he wasn't there. So she decided that she would wait every morning down by the Ganga in the hope of meeting Papaji. And she stayed every morning for 8 months before he finally returned. So he'd gone off traveling, and after some time, she shifted from her guest house and slept down by the Ganga because she was so much touched from the first meeting that she was ready to meet Papaji again. So this is a pretty amazing kind of miracle story. And after 8 months, Papaji showed up again, and she became a kind of formal student, and they spent time together, walking, going for walks, being silent together. He would give her some teachings. And then again, after some time, he said, "Okay, I come back, and now I'm going to go traveling." He went off for some time, he came back. And then from that time, they spent many years together, actually. So after some time, they became intimate. He was about 60, she was about 24, I think, young woman. And then they left India and went to Europe. And so there's a number of years when Papaji was living in Brussels, living in France. He went to Spain. And every year in the summer, he would go to Switzerland because J. Krishnamurti would have a retreat, a satsang retreat in a small village in Switzerland in the mountains. And Papaji would go there. And J. Krishnamurti was getting quite old by that time. And so I think he had meetings for 2 mornings, and then he had a morning free. So on the morning when he didn't give any talk, Papaji would go and sit under a tree I think it was in a school playground, and people would come and sit with him. And one of those people was Hans and his brother, and they would go every time he was available, they would go and sit with Papaji. And Hans was very touched from this meeting because he had the feeling that J. Krishnamurti was talking about truth and Papaji was sitting in truth. And then gradually Hans became very close to Papaji. And while he was in Europe, he would meet him sometimes in Europe. And when Papaji went back to India, Hans would go every year and spend maybe 2 months in Hardwar. So Hardwar is at the foothills of the Himalayas. It was the favorite town for Papaji. And they would stay together in a guest house, even in the same room together. So this must have been very, very intense, I think, for Hans. And they would spend their days walking along the Ganga, a lot of the time in silence, eating together, being together. And one day as they were walking, Hans said to Papaji, "You can stay in peace and stillness. I cannot. Why does it come and go with me? With you, I see this strength, love, and being perfectly at ease. My experience is past." Papaji answered, "Why do you say this moment comes and goes and not your other experiences?" Then Hans said, "I call my states of peace experiences because they are short compared with the length of my usual life." But Papaji said, "I don't call that experience. I call experience what comes and goes." Papaji wanted me to see this is your nature. It doesn't come and go. The other things that are adopted by culture, environment, and whatever, he means other conditionings like religion, are what come and go. So I remember I had interviewed Hans for my book, Papaji Amazing Grace. You can read the whole interview in that book. And when I met Hans, I met him in the south of India in Tiruvannamalai. He was an older man by then, very quiet. And he had this capacity to be almost invisible. I often would see him walking around the town or in the ashram. He always carried an umbrella. He was a little kind of old-fashioned guy. And he was almost invisible. He was like the invisible man, very, very silent and somehow very, very quiet. I really had a nice connection with him and I liked him very much. And I found this dialogue he had with Papaji, which he shared with me in the interview about his life. I find this is very, very, very important. So it's not really like a teaching, but it's like a fundamental understanding of who you are. Because who you are is something that never changes. And unfortunately, because most of us have spiritual experiences or glimpses only occasionally, even rarely. So when it happens, we have this tendency to say, "Oh, I had a spiritual experience." And Papaji wanted Hans to understand that what he's calling a spiritual experience is his true nature, what I call a glimpse, like a glimpse of his true nature. And as Hans was saying, that he could see that Papaji was constantly in his true nature. But Hans, although he could recognize it in Papaji, and he must have got the benefit being so close to Papaji, in Papaji's energy field, still he saw that for him it came and it went. So he couldn't hold on to that. And that's why he called it an experience, because for him it was an experience compared to the rest of his life. And Papaji made the point, very strong point, that the rest of your life is an experience, because every day in our lives, we have so many thoughts, so many emotions, so many physical happenings, and all of this stuff, which we call my life, is actually experiences, many, many experiences. And our true nature is actually a constant. We arrive on this planet in this true nature. We leave this planet in our true nature. Actually, we are this true nature. And in between arriving and leaving, we have many, many thousands, if not millions of experiences. And sometimes through becoming quiet, or perhaps getting some kind of shock which stops the mind. Could be we get some kind of accident, we maybe get some emotional shock, and through something our mind is stopping. And when there are no thoughts, then we immediately have a direct contact to our true nature. And so Papaji wanted Hans to understand that that is it. That's what Hans is wanting. He wants to be present in every moment. And by spending time with Papaji, gradually over a number of years, a number of visits, Hans, when I met him, he was living very quietly in India. He spent the summers in the Himalayas, living in a small hut in a village, alone, for several years alone. And then in the winter, when it was too cold, he would come down and stay in an ashram in Kerala, in the north of Kerala, an ashram called Ananda Ashram, where they would welcome him every year. So this was his lifestyle, basically, by the time I met him. Very simple life, very quiet, very still. But when you engage with him, he was somebody who had a great compassion. He could share everything you would ask him. He could share something. And if you look at the interview in the book, he's clearly a remarkable guy, actually. But of course, completely unknown. He never really became a teacher. But if you met him and asked him questions, then of course, he would always share. Okay, so would somebody like to comment?
I think I have something to say.
Okay, Dakini from the south of Germany.
Maybe it's coincidence or maybe not. Exactly yesterday, I read this paragraph that you read today. So I started thinking about it yesterday. And also about the fact that lately, since I started doing meditation, I do have the feeling that what is happening to me or around me is like not touching me, it's just going along or passing by. And it's not only with the negative issues, but also with positive ones. So regarding negative, I see that many things don't really bother me anymore. And regarding positive things, people have noticed that I'm not so joyous anymore, like being happy that something happened. And I say, yeah, well, I'm very, very happy, but I can't express it like before. It's just, I feel it inside, it's very good, but I don't let it come to the outside. So maybe this is how I see these experiences that come and go. And today, during the initial meditation, at the beginning, again, paradoxically, I felt my heart beating very fast. And then I suddenly started singing the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow again and again. And when you said like the third time, now we fall deeper, I had the feeling that I actually fell on my back and somebody was holding me when I was falling. It was yeah, nice sensation.
Good, good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we meditate, and you're just in a way starting meditation, and often the contrast between a kind of normal busy life and sitting quietly can be actually very powerful. So sometimes when people start to meditate, they get very strong experiences, very strong glimpses of their true nature. This is maybe what's happening to you, that in a way you're probably meditating very innocently, and suddenly you find that your mind has stopped and you fall inside into this deep place, which you maybe don't express it as happiness. You don't start kind of smiling or being happy, but you recognize yourself that inside you feel very contented, very peaceful. So when we make contact with our true nature, it's not necessarily very ecstatic. It can just be very quietly peaceful and kind of a feeling of contentment that I don't need anything. I don't want anything.
Yes.
So when you start having those kind of glimpses, then you're getting some good effects of your meditation. And this, of course, as you continue the meditation, this will get more powerful for you. So that's very nice. Yeah. I mean, the things that I'm reading now in Zoom, we're sending to you as the information for the meeting. And also we're putting them up on my website under blog. So if you wanted to see next week's, what I'm going to talk about next week, I think it's already up on my blog. And what I'm reading tonight, that is the second blog. So all the recent meetings, they're up on the blog, actually. So if you have time, you can read them in whatever language up on the blog. Somebody else like to share? I mean, in the last years of Papaji's life, when he came to Lucknow, those last years gradually changed. When he first stopped traveling, I should say, in about 1990, he was living in his son's small house downtown in Lucknow, and people would visit him. But usually it was only one or two people visiting him. So people like Andrew Cohen, who you may have heard of, who's a teacher who's been sharing now for many years. He was one of the first people that came to Papaji and had a very strong meeting, personal meeting with Papaji. And in fact, in those days, Papaji had a heart condition. And he was also a diabetic, and he had problems with his legs. So his health was actually not really very good. And he had the feeling that actually he was in the process of dying. And so when Andrew Cohen came to him, Andrew was an American who'd been for many years meditating. He'd been to many teachers who came to New York. And then he left America and come to India, where again he met some different teachers and meditated. And then he came through a friend. He came to Lucknow, met Papaji, and they had a very, very strong meeting, very beautiful meeting. You can find a book called My Master, Myself. in this book, there's a beautiful picture of Andrew as a young guy with Papaji. Papaji would have been about 80 years old at that point, or no, he would have been about 78, I guess, at that point. And out of that meeting, Andrew became free. Very, very strong things. And Papaji encouraged him to go and share. And actually, at the time it happened, Papaji saw Andrew as the person who was going to continue Papaji's knowledge or Papaji's teaching. He was going to continue that. So Papaji gave Andrew a lot of support, and Andrew went off, and after a very short time, he went to England, and pretty quickly he was holding meetings with quite a lot of people. And some of you may know that Andrew then gradually, he created a community, a big community in the Western United States near Boston. He had a big community, and he had smaller communities in England, in Australia, in Holland, I think in Germany. And he produced a beautiful magazine, which is called What is Enlightenment? And this was a very touching magazine. He kept this running for about 5 or 6 years. And more recently, his community collapsed, and unfortunately, many of his students got very pissed off with him. So if you put his name into Google, you can read all about kind of exciting things that can happen between students and their teacher. So in America, he's not, well, now he's not really very popular anymore. And the moment he's living in India, in Bangalore. And I was very happy that I became friends with him, actually. I had known about him for many years. And more recently, after his troubles, I had got a message, and in a message I should meet him, and I met him at Arunachala Mountain. We've become friends. And recently I've interviewed him for my Papaji project. As you know, I'm doing this book and film. And if you look on my website, we've now created quite a big section about Papaji. You can find Papaji's bio there. You can also find 3 of the interviews that I've done with people. And you can also find some satsangs from some of the teachers that I've interviewed with our community. So we have three sections. And one of the meetings was with Andrew Cohen. So if you're interested about Andrew Cohen, you can see him on my website, which is also on YouTube, of course. Would somebody else like to share about our true nature?
John?
Yeah.
I just want to tell you that it's always so powerful to listen or to read stories like this. I mean, stories about people who lived this kind of experience. So it's so inspiring and touching heart, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So beautiful. So, for example, thank you to share the like your books or your films, your movies,
Right, right.
like remarkable people or other interviews. So it's so important to know these people, these experiences. It's so important.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I figure that, you know, if I don't become a famous teacher, I might become a famous journalist, kind of spiritual journalist, because I've interviewed so many people. We've made so many films now and books that, in fact, recently we have somebody from Spain. Actually, he's on the screen just above you, Angel, and he was introduced to my Indian Masters Blueprints for Awakening film, and he liked the film very much. But he got the feeling that John David must be a journalist because I was going to meet all these teachers. So he thought I was a journalist. And then later he was looking for a spiritual teacher. And then I think it was his yoga teacher told him, well, you know, John David's also a teacher. Why don't you try him? And he thought, oh, really? I thought John David was a journalist. So I'm kind of developing two possibilities, you know. I hope people can remember me as a teacher, but maybe they'll only remember me as a journalist. And if those two things fail, maybe I'll be remembered as a filmmaker.
It's also funny to do it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, right now, this new project is so touching. If you go on my website to the Papaji page, I strongly recommend to listen to the interviews. I think we've got 3 and we'll put more when we have time. They're very, very touching. Amazing, very, very touching. Yeah.
Believe you, totally.
Yeah. It's very interesting that although Papaji became a very known teacher or master, and people have made books about his teaching, a lot of his teaching happened in the way it happened with hands. Many of his kind of very important things that he did with people were not really like a formal teaching. It was moments like, you know, walking along, or somebody came to his house and then something happened. So just by having contact with Papaji, people had amazing experiences, and 30 years later, they can still talk about those experiences. They still feel a deep connection with Papaji. And when we sit in Zoom and I'm asking them, please tell me your meeting with Papaji, they express such incredible energy. There's such an incredible energy in very simple ways. I can't really describe it, but if you watch the interviews, you can feel it. That 30 years later, the people are still very consumed by their story. And many people have what I could only call kind of miracle happenings through their contact with Papaji. I'm just remembering one of these amazing miracles. There was a woman from Bali, and she used to come to Papaji quite often. She was married to a fairly rich man, and I think she had 3 children. I think they were all boys, 3 boys. And she had some kind of fashion business with her husband in Bali. And but her marriage wasn't working so well. So she used to come and talk to Papaji. He became her kind of marriage counselor, you could say. And finally, she separated from her husband. And she told me the story how she was living in the family house, but without the husband. And it was too expensive for her to live there. So she wanted to rent the house. And she was sitting with her 3 children, and she was telling them that, you know, I want to rent the house and I want to ask this much rent. And the children were going, ha, 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 you know, nobody's going to rent our house for that kind of money. And almost immediately in that moment, there was a knock on the door. When she opened the door, there was a couple who said that they were looking for a house to rent. And she said, wow, you know, my house is to rent. Would you like to come and see? And they looked around the house, and then she said, well, you know, this is quite an expensive house. And they said, no problem, because our company is going to pay for the rental of the house, no problem. And in a matter of minutes, she'd rented her house, and the kids were like completely silent, completely shocked. And they said, you know, okay, Mom, now we believe you now. We believe you now. This is one of the many, many stories that people have told me. So even years after Papaji left his body, people have these kind of miracles through their connection with Papaji.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Actually, I can tell you, Luigi, on the 2nd of July, the weekend of the 2nd of July, we're offering a free weekend, like a getting to know the community weekend. And we're offering workshops, you know, maybe dance workshops or painting or different kind of creative stuff. We've been doing it for quite a few years. Everything is free. You can stay for free. Food is free. Everything is free. So I don't know if any of you guys from Italy would like to visit us, but that would be a possible weekend.
I share this information.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome. Yeah.
Sounds very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually we have about 60 people and have a good weekend.
60?
Yeah. A lot of people come actually. We have people that only come every year on our free weekend actually. So I've got some students who meet me every 3 months, and I've got others who meet me every year on the free weekend. Okay, somebody else like to share about this? I think this is a very, very important dialogue, actually. If you understand this dialogue, your life will change. But it's not easy to understand, of course, because we're very conditioned that all these things that are happening in our life day by day, that this is my life, yeah, my life. And Papaji is saying, no, no, this is not, that may be your life experiences, but it's not who you really are. And so these life experiences are somehow hiding the truth of who you are. And then sometimes we get a glimpse. It's like we suddenly come through the cloud. And when we come through the cloud, we find our essence. So this essence, of course, is always there. The true nature is always there. But unfortunately, very often we get, our attention goes in another direction. Usually we're looking outside, looking for experience of some kind. We want to feel some pleasure. We want to feel happy, whatever it is. And because of this, we're constantly, how can I say, we're constantly not really in contact to our essence, to our true nature. But the true nature is always there available. So we only need to stop, become quiet, become still, and then suddenly we can fall deeply inside. Somebody else like to share?
Yes.
Exactly. Okay.
I have a lot of moments without thoughts since the retreat for 2 weeks ago, and then I don't know what to do. So I think there's when thoughts are gone, there's place for something else.
Well, maybe there's a place for nothing, you know?
Yeah, and then I don't want to do anything, and I can sit the whole day. I don't know what to do.
You don't have to do anything. That's what's so beautiful, that when you come to your true nature, you suddenly discover that there's no desire. Because if you look at your life, you can discover that a lot of our movement is coming out of desire, you know? What can I do today? What shall I do today? You know, I'll go and meet my friend. I'll climb in the mountains. I'll go for a swim. You know, we have all kind of desires that move us to do stuff. But when you come to your true nature, it's so amazingly quiet, peaceful. There's so much love potentially that there's no more desire. It's like you don't want anything. You know, it's like a complete contentment that comes. So if you're experiencing that, that's very, very beautiful, because you don't need to do anything. And equally, for example, if you're sitting there not doing anything, if there's a knock on the door and a friend is there, then you stand up, you answer the door, you say hello, and then your friend says, "Oh, I'm going on an excursion. Come with me somewhere," you know? Then you just say yes, you get in the car maybe, and you drive somewhere in the countryside. And all the time you're experiencing suddenly in a different quality, because as you sit in the car, you see the clouds, you see the trees, and so on. Yeah, you see the nature around, and suddenly you're seeing it with from an emptiness, from your true nature. So it's not as if your life is going to stop. It's not going to stop. It might stop a bit in the beginning if you would have a lot of glimpses. And when you have the glimpse, you feel, well, I don't really want to do anything. I don't need to do anything. I'm not calling any friends. I'm just happy to sit here. If you're having a lot of those, then I would suggest you just enjoy it, you know, just enjoy it, because this is the kind of peak of human life, you can say. So if you're having that now, then I would say that's very good. And maybe you can come for the July weekend, which is free. I know you're a student, you don't have so much money. And coming to the community and coming to meet me is a kind of like, it acts like a kind of booster, energy booster.
Yes.
Because, you know, when you came now to this retreat 2 weeks ago, was it only 2 weeks ago? Not
Maybe
3 weeks? It seems very recent. I mean, far away from me, I don't know. But anyway, so I think it was 3 weeks. But anyway, 3 weeks is not so long. But if you don't reconnect with this kind of silent energy, unfortunately, often we lose contact to this true nature. Good. Anyway, very nice. Yeah. Somebody else like to share something? Kashi?
your talk about Papa G and Andrew Cohen. I was listening, and there were remembrance from India when we met him. But I also saw there were a lot of thoughts in me. And when you stopped and just asked the question, what somebody wants to share about your true nature, completely became silent in me. As if by saying it, when you say it, it is there. So it was so beautiful that my mind became immediately quiet, while before it was not quiet, or even emotions. And then
yeah, well, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have that happen sometimes when you're in the guest house, when you maybe are tidying a room or cleaning a room? Do you have that happen to you sometimes?
Now, sometimes, but I can also be caught up in the work. But if there is not too much pressure and I'm working, then it can also become silent to me. But when I become very stressy because it is a lot, then I find it very difficult.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I talk to you, Vijay. I'd like to say hello to you. You unmute Vijay. He's down in Spain. Hello.
В Испании. Привет.
Hello.
Привет.
So I think you're flying to Kiev tomorrow.
Кажется, ты в Киев завтра там улетаешь, да?
I'm also flying to Kiev tomorrow.
И я завтра в Киев улетаю.
So I don't know the time, but maybe we'll meet in the airport.
Не знаю, там какое время. Кажется, мы можем встретиться в аэропорту.
And I think you've been in Europe, Western Europe now for about 4 months.
Ты уже в этой Западной Европе 4 месяца, кажется.
And you've been working on a lot of different construction projects.
И ты трудился над многими строительными проектами.
So I want to give you a big thank you from the community.
Я хотел бы поблагодарить тебя, огромную благодарность от имени коммуны выразить.
Yeah, because as you know, we're developing things now in Spain
Знаете, ребята, мы там развиваем вещи в Испании.
To shift the community in about 2 years' time.
Чтобы через 2 года можно было перевести туда коммуну основную.
So your contribution is very valuable.
Твой вклад очень ценный.
So thank you.
Спасибо.
And maybe we can have a chat tomorrow.
Может, у нас получится еще завтра поговорить.
I've been practicing my Russian.
Я практикуюсь, учусь, повторяю русский язык.
And so maybe we can have an exciting dialogue in Kiev tomorrow.
В Киеве завтра какой-то
In fact, I tell you
диалог.
what, because
You're
flying with Hanuman, I think.
Ты, кажется, с Хануманом летишь, да?
So I have the idea. How about Arjuna and you and Hanuman and me? The 4 of us go out to dinner in the evening.
У меня вот тут идея. Как насчет ты, Хануман, Арджуна и я поедем на ужин в лес?
I'm not quite sure what time I arrive, but maybe I arrive about 6 o'clock, I think.
Не знаю, во сколько там я прилетаю, кажется, часов 6.
And we'll go and find a nice restaurant.
Поедем, найдем классный ресторан.
If you like.
Если хочешь, конечно.
And Hanuman...
Долететь нужно.
Yes, first we need to fly, kind of alive.
Yeah, First, you have to arrive, and I have to arrive. And if we don't get a plane crash, I'll see you in the evening.
Да, конечно, нам надо вначале долететь, и тебе, и мне. И если, надеюсь, самолет не разобьется, то тогда
And
вечером мы увидимся.
Hanuman's there somewhere. I can't see him, but I guess he's
А где же
there.
Хануман пропал? Что-то он пропал с моих радаров.
So you're also invited. Hanuman.
Вот ты тоже, я тоже приглашаю тебя. Где же ты?
There he is, Alexander.
Вот он, Александр
Alexander
Хануман.
Hanuman.
Hello.
So you're also invited for dinner tomorrow.
Да, слушай, ты тоже давай на ужин приходи завтра.
I am ready.
Я готов.
Okay, good. We'll have a boys' evening.
Будет у нас этот мальчишник.
Да, Виджей может...
Is that okay, Arjuna? Can you arrange something?
Yes, definitely. Definitely I can arrange everything. For the boys' evening, I'm the main guy in Ukraine.
Okay, look at the boys here. We have
it's a powerful team, John. Powerful
team. Some older boys, some younger boys.
Yeah.
We'll have a good evening.
Yes.
We'll celebrate with a bottle of wine, I guess.
Да, отпразднуем с бутылкой вина, может быть. Maybe even two.
Okay, so very nice. I see you tomorrow, yeah? Are you okay, Hanuman?
Ну что ж, ребята, ладно, увидимся завтра. Ты в порядке, Хануман?
Эмоции поднимаются сильные.
Yeah, strong emotions are coming up.
Yeah? Well, tomorrow you meet your darling wife and your kids again.
Завтра увидишь свою дорогожайшую жену и детей наконец-то снова.
Yes.
Да.
Right. And Vijay is going to meet his daughter, I'm sure, and her family.
А Виджей дочку и ее семью там, свою семью.
But anyway, tomorrow we'll have our satsang family dinner.
Ну, как бы там ни было, завтра встретится сатсанг семья за ужином.
Bax is getting a bit exciting now because he's looking forward to getting her husband back.
Ждет мужа домой. Вся истосковалась.
You have to wait 2 more hours while we have dinner together.
Ну, тебе придется подождать на пару часов больше. Всего лишь на пару часов, пока мы вместе поужинаем.
Okay, is that all right? Can we get permission?
Нормально, ты нам разрешишь? Выдашь разрешение?
2 hours, okay.
2 часа.
Good. Okay, so thank you guys. See you
Спасибо,
tomorrow.
ребята. Увидимся завтра.
I say goodbye to everybody else.
Всем пока.
So I just want to remind what I was saying earlier. On the 2nd to the 4th of July, beginning of July, the first weekend of July, we're offering an open weekend.
Мы предлагаем открытые выходные.
And there'll be a concert on Saturday. There'll be all kind of workshops and meetings. And usually we have a very beautiful weekend. So if you'd like to come, please come that weekend. And the other thing I would like to introduce is we've just been importing from Ukraine very beautiful honey. So this is Ukrainian honey from the Carpathian Mountains on the border of Poland, in the west of Ukraine, well away from the war, the fighting. And I don't know if you can see the label. So it's called The Art of Honey, The Art of Honey. And this particular pot is sunflower. So on the front, we have a sunflower and a bee. And on the top, we have a painting by Van Gogh, which is called Sunflower. And so we call this the art of honey. And then on the back, we have our company name, which is Open Sky Honey. And we have a bit of information at the bottom about the honey. So from tomorrow, we're starting to sell this in the Open Sky house. At the moment, we have this one. This is sunflower, pure sunflower. And then we have a mixture of sunflower and buckwheat. And in a couple of weeks, I'm bringing back from Ukraine pure buckwheat and assisa, pure assisa. So then we'll have 4 different honeys. So next time you come to Open Sky House, very nice souvenir, only €6. Very delicious honey, I can tell you, very delicious. Okay, so any more publicity, any more advertising? No, I think not. Oh, next Thursday. So we have another meeting next Thursday. I'm coming back from Ukraine on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, we have a next Zoom meeting. So from now, I'm doing a meeting every week. So next Thursday will be on Thursday, and then the week after on Tuesday. So alternating evenings. Once will be Tuesday, once will be Thursday, but every week. Okay, thank you. Thank you.